Honor Singapore is a charity that we established in 2014 with a mission of promoting a culture of honor and honoring for the well-being of Singapore. We did start Honor Singapore with a particular concern about the well-being of Singapore. The origin was in 2014, the government in Singapore announced a one-year celebration of 50 years of independence, culminating on the 9th of August 2015 to celebrate 50 years of independence. When we look back, 1965, it was unexpected, it was unplanned, it was unanticipated, and in many ways it was unwelcome. What have we got ourselves into? Already the commercial center at that time, we were the center for rubber trading, we were the center for tin trading. The hope at that time was that Kuala Lumpur would be the political capital and Singapore would be the commercial capital of what later became Malaysia, 1963. But that marriage, we all know, lasted only 2 years, and Singapore was out in 1965. The question is, how do you make a future for Singapore? How do you do it? For me and my few friends, when we banded together to create Honor Singapore, the question on our mind was to ask ourselves, to reflect back and to try to get an explanation how did Singapore manage to survive and to succeed despite so many people all over the world not expecting Singapore to succeed. We came to the conclusion that it was for two reasons. One was the nation brand. It was a brand. There's nothing here, and you are selling a brand. It's a brand about trustworthiness. It's a brand that says that when the government in Singapore gives a word, the government will deliver on its promise, the people will deliver on its promise. We are reliable, we are dependable, we can be trusted. It was about the brand of trustworthiness. That was the second reason. The second reason has to do with the multiracial, multilingual, multicultural, multi-religious aspect of Singapore. We created a social framework and a legal framework which allowed for this diversity. For example, to have the freedom to choose whatever religion it is, and then your neighbor must also be allowed the same freedom. We allowed space for all this diversity. Somehow we learned how to manage the diversity. So those were two reasons why Singapore managed to survive and Singapore managed to do well. First, we honored our word, trustworthiness. Second, we honored one another, we make space for each other, and there's an acceptance of each other as we are. That's the background to why we set up Honor Singapore and why we think it is so important for the survival and the continued success of Singapore. There's a professor in the Harvard Business School who was asked to comment on Uber situation. She said this: financial statements are a statement of the past. They tell you what you've done. They don't tell you the future. Culture creates the future. Culture predicts the future. Culture, in some ways, is more important than strategy. The final statement, she said, if you don't spend time to build your culture for survivability and sustainability, then you are not leading. Do we think in terms of the survivability of our company and the sustained success of our company for the long term or indefinite period? If we do, we're going to look at certain aspects of the company and say, if we don't think about getting our company to survive for the long term, then of course it doesn't matter. We can be a fly-by-night operation. We can be thinking only in terms of 3 years. The CEO who comes in and says, if you think of surviving for 20 years or 30 years, yeah, I'm not going to be around for 20 or 30 years. Why should I bother about that? Maybe I should worry only about the next 5 years or 10 years. That's about as long as I can think. That's a serious question for all of us. If we have a CEO who thinks only for the next 5 years, because he thinks he is not going to be around for more than 5 years, a lot of people among his staff are going to think we all should also work just for as long as we will be around. I don't see why we should work to make the company a good place, a great place, or a well-sustained company. These are choices that we make. What is it that will give sustainability? The proposition is trustworthiness, honor our word, and honor each other. If we are thinking about survivability and sustainability of a company, that's what we have to think about. That is also what we need to bring about in our society, in our communities. That applies to the nation as a whole. Looking out for your neighbor, honoring your neighbor. That's also what you have to do for your family. It's about the relationship between the father with his children. That's quite interesting, right? I come across young people about relationship between young people and their parents. You find young people say, no, I can never respect my father. He has not been around, he gambles, he drinks, he doesn't take care of family, I cannot respect him. But mind you, we are not asking for you to respect. We are asking you to honor. To honor is to recognize that relationship, is to recognize that position. This is the right thing to do. Honor your father is different from saying you have to respect your father. Respect and honor actually are not the same thing. Let me explain it in this way. If I were to ask you, what's the difference between liking and loving? Today we have distorted the word love. If you like something very much, we call it I love. You can love your iPhone, you can love your car. Let's go back to something more fundamental. When we say I like something or I like someone, what do you mean? You mean that thing gives me pleasure. That someone gives me pleasure. Makes me feel good. Actually, when you say you like something, you're thinking of yourself. When you say you love someone, you are really saying, what can I do to make the other person happy? What can I do to make the other person more comfortable? Loving is an activity where we think about the other person. There's something fundamentally different between liking and loving. Same thing between honor and respect. To honor is to say, this is what I offer you. You're a fellow human being, or you are my parent. This is what I offer you. It really doesn't matter about how you respond to what I do. The good thing to do is the right thing to do. I'm honoring you for it. Respect. And I know exactly what this young man tells me when he says he can't respect his father. Respect means, does that person behave in a way which I can respect? By respecting, you mean I have in my mind an idea of what is worthy of respect. If you meet my standard, then I respect you. You don't meet my standard, I don't respect you. Respecting is thinking of yourself, because you are setting the standard. This is why, for Honor Singapore, we chose the word honor. And I really want to close at this point of the idea about what is honor is about. In fact, it fills up everything that we think about in our day-to-day relationship, just as the way we think about our company, just as the way that we have to think about the nation. If we are thinking for sustained survival and sustained success of whatever it is, the community, the family, the company, the nation, invariably you end up with these two requirements, whether we behave in a way which is trustworthy, whether we behave in a way which our hearts are open, our minds are open to create space for one another. I've described to you what motivated me and my friends to set up Honor Singapore. Our analysis to explain the first 50 years of Singapore, how we survived and how we succeeded. Is that enough to assure the long-term success of Singapore? Each of you will have your own views, just like I have my own views. My own feeling is not enough. There's some other things that we have to create. Think about it. Singapore, for first 50 years, was about seeing what is done elsewhere and saying, we also can do it in Singapore. Not necessarily copying, but using the same technologies, using the same approaches, we can replicate in Singapore. Maybe we work harder, maybe we work more productively or efficiently. Maybe we work simply with far greater intensity, and we can do it in Singapore. Now, question is whether that formula is good enough for the future. I rather suspect myself it's not good enough for the future. The days where we can just transfer an activity from outside Singapore to within Singapore, those days are numbered. All the foreign companies that have invested in Singapore have not come to Singapore for the Singapore economy. All of them have come in to Singapore as a base. It will not only serve the Singapore economy, it's also served the Southeast Asian region. For some instances, serve the whole Asian region, in a few cases, part of the global supply chain. That is how we have succeeded. But as we think about the future, I think we are going to face issues. We need to develop our own capacity now to be competing head-to-head with other first world countries. Cost factors no longer work in favor for Singapore. The issue is about productivity, maybe. The issue may be about innovation. It's no longer just seeing what is done elsewhere and bringing it to Singapore. We have to establish our own position going forward. That's the challenge we all face. Maybe we have to build some other factors. Today, I just want to say thank you everybody for giving me the opportunity to explain on Singapore.
Thank you so much.